Alright, response video, I think, to 2bsirius. She's made some video where she has to constantly reference me. Yeah, this is so silly. But anyway, we'll play the video. It's important. It really is. Yeah, my last video was just pretty much perfect. It was pretty well said. And none of these people are going to make any arguments refuting any of it. No. These intros are just so much fun. We revealed a truth that comes up. That's no me. Bugs Bunny. Cool. And so it's yeah. It's just an effort to avoid the truth. The truth is our existence is really fucked up chemistry, and that's all it is. And it's reproduction run amok, and it's reproduction run amok on it. I don't know why that's repeated, but anyway, um, yeah, and so your counter to that is what? There's 7 billion people, so the human race is obviously over reproduced. And I was talking about the context of what life has done over the last 2 billion years, anyway, which is, just horrific over reproduction. Island, where it just becomes cannibalistic. Yeah, you become eccentric and complex, but not better. To Yes, and that's another point. You're not going to change. You're not going to unravel. You're not going to dissect. You're not going to do anything to edify anybody on why there's any reason to doubt the factual truth of that circumstance. Um, we're consuming organisms, and whether we're existing as mountain men or we're existing in some little homogenic community, it's about DNA largely, and propelling it into the future. To what? You know?
I'm going to make a very fast video. I was actually going to make it in response to Laura Layla, who...
Yeah, which I didn't really get the context there, but anyway, I didn't see a video of hers that was exactly on this subject, but maybe I missed something. Very quick video again. Yeah, so that's how you have the argument. You don't really make an argument. You don't refute anything. You just make some obnoxious characterizations, point to a couple of books, and say, "There, I've done my job." And all it is cheap bullshit.
Posted one that I found pretty interesting. There'll be a link in the low bar. But since then, I have just subscribed to.
Okay, so there was a little in the box thing there. Son, you are just chemistry, fucked up chemistry. Alright, so there's this obvious ridicule of some kind here. Some counter argument is going to be made that somehow that's not what we are. That's not what we're the product of. That's not our lineage. Um, that it isn't a DNA molecule propelling itself into the future. That is the primary, dominant, 99.876% of this fucking ball game. No, somehow it's about something else.
I have just subscribed to Boo Boo Nation, and she posted one that was just, as far as I could tell, just an inmendham video.
Oh my God. You've never done something like that? You've never highlighted somebody else's? Oh yeah, you're always the one pointing to books. That's right. You point to a stupid book. She posted the argument. So instead of posting a link or just referencing, yeah, she posted the argument from the source. See, unlike these authors, I'm on YouTube and I make videos and I argue the arguments. All right, and I'll take on all comers, but this is all I don't get an argument. All I get is little funky boxes. In fact, you are just reproduction run amok. See, another little cheap ridicule. You're not going to make a counter argument to that basic fact that we're all here as um, as a product of a survival contest. All our little ancestors had to survive all the plagues and all the wars and all the horror and all the brutality to get us here.
And I haven't addressed inmendham in quite a while, and I know hell breaks loose if I just tried to talk about his views on evolution.
Well, you don't do that though. You don't just make a video. I make tons of videos. I don't say this video completely eliminates and crucifies the argument of 2bsirius. No, I make a video. I don't have to reference you and say, oh, this will show her. No, I make my argument. You're not making an argument. Okay, you're just posting this crap. Oh, read this book. No, thank you. You know what? Is it that my job now? I have to debunk every silly theory you're going to throw in front of me, like the Amazing Randy or something, and somehow I have to waste my life debunking a bunch of third and fourth class thinkers, and point out obvious errors in their bullshit.
And why I think they're sadly 19th century.
This is another. She's always ragging on about this sadly 19th century, in which she's, like somehow Charles Darwin, the theory of evolution, was not just a little bit incomplete. Where they didn't tie everything in, the microbiology and all the other stuff. No, it wasn't just a little bit incomplete. It was catastrophically flawed, and now it's primitive science. And she'll provide nothing to defend this slander of what Darwin accomplished.
Um, and this is not about metaphysics. This has nothing to do with metaphysics.
It is exactly have to do with whatever. You don't want to call it metaphysics, well then call it unicorn chasing, call it rainbow stroking. It's just made up crap to make you feel better. Period.
I just want, I mean, I'm not going to do ratings on this because I know that hell breaks loose, as I said.
Oh, whatever. All these people in this ratings crap. I've never thumbed down any of your videos or any of Barklord's or anybody's videos, and they all feel somehow proud of themselves because they don't nail one of mine. Well, my videos get the worst ratings of anybody's videos, so this is all just a big whiny complaint.
Mentioning Inmendham's name. He mentions mine constantly.
I don't do that. I think the last reference was actually complimentary to some extent, at least in a backhanded way. Look, I do a video called What the Fuck. Alright, you come up in that once in a while because you make videos that are relevant to other people's videos, so yeah, your name comes up. And if you can find some other references where I've just gone out of my way to go pick on you, then why don't you fucking quote them? Why don't you display them? Why don't you make your fucking argument with a little bit of fucking evidence for a fucking change? Or are you just going to pretend to be a Jew?
In his videos, I don't respond because I know the consequences. But I really want to talk about his 19th century view of evolution very quickly. Evolutionary theory has moved on.
Now listen, look at that. Look at the weaselness of this argument. That somehow I've stopped at Darwin. I read The Origin of Species, and I didn't augment my understanding of evolution one bit. I'm the one on YouTube that has actually pointed out. I've made contribution, okay, explaining certain circumstances like funguses. Why don't they cover the earth? Like where we got our intelligence and how we had the capacity, the potential to do this very high thinking, but we didn't have any knowledge. We didn't have any information. And so here we had a faculty that was completely underutilized, and how that's a rare event in evolution. So this is just such bull fucking shit.
And there is a lot of research into empathy. And
yeah, research into one word that we sort of made up to describe a kind of phenomenon, right? I mean, does empathy really have a great definition? I don't think it does. So what is it, like some sort of warm and fuzzy feeling, like compassion but not compassion? Like I can realize myself in the other person's circumstance? Isn't that what empathy's supposed to be? Like I feel your pain? And you're basically just going to describe what people feel towards their own kind, their own clan, their own wife, their own property, their own bullshit. You're not going to be describing the fact that, well, what empathy really is. Empathy isn't something you have natively. It's only something you can acquire by having an intelligence. A lion can't have empathy because he can't really do the conceptualizations required for him to imagine being the gazelle, or imagine being the lion he's fighting with, or imagining some other circumstance like that. We can do that. That's called intelligence, though. It's called intelligence to realize the other human beings are your equal, that they have value. Okay? The slave owners didn't have any empathy for their slaves, but people did acquire an understanding that those slaves are human beings, that they have lives and welfares that are important, and that they can't be abused. So it was intelligence that freed the slaves. It wasn't fucking human empathy.
To altruism and the evolutionary roots of it.
Yeah, see, now she's going to say something like, see, altruism is another concept word, okay? It doesn't have a great definition either. So altruism is what? When you sacrifice some piece of yourself for some other thing, some other cause, some other individual. So it would be altruistic for a kamikaze pilot to fly his plane into the enemy aircraft carrier. That's a form of altruism, self-sacrifice for something greater or bigger than himself. But why did he do it? He did it because it was part of his ego, part of what made him a man, made him um, good, valuable, decent, honorable. That's right. It became something of honor to fulfill his obligation. And so that capacity for organisms to have that kind of devotion to the clan, to the cause, all right, is completely not contrary to anything Darwin described. So why don't you quote Darwin if you're going to refute Darwin? Why don't you do that? Why don't you give the man at least that much deserved respect? And if you're going to sit there and argue that he was a fucktard and an idiot and a 19th century philosopher, then why don't you sit there and demonstrate how he got it so fucking wrong?
Darwin was very confused about empathy and what it was and altruism and where it came from.
Yeah, because what probably the only mistake Darwin made was trying to take these words too seriously, like they were actually meant something. They're just bogus descriptions of psychological phenomenon. Um, so that's probably the first mistake you make is to assume the words mean anything. Go back to their creation. What did they intend to describe? And what they intend to describe is what people will do in passion, for passion. The passion of their own self-respect, the passion of their pride in possessions.
And since then, a lot of thinkers have written about it. I'm just finishing, I haven't quite finished, a book uh, about George Price called.
I mean, what? Should I really go out and try to find a book that just completely. I don't even know why. No, I'm not going to do that. I mean, this just trading book title crap is just so weaselly. If you're going to make these broad accusations that you know better than Darwin, you really should do better than just pointing to a fucking book.
The Price of Altruism, and it is the best overview I've read on the roots of theories.
Yeah, well, wouldn't you have to be an authority to be able to say what the best is? So it's your impression that this is an accurate description of altruism. Is that what you're arguing?
About altruism up through George Price's theories, and a little touching on the theories that I want to discuss. And those are, first of all, those of Franz de Waal and of.
You won't discuss these theories. You won't give us any piece of it, anything. This is just like the epigenetics thing. You made a bunch of references to all this documentation about how blah 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 these other pieces of the cellular configuration are making all these contributions to our genetic lineage and blah blah blah. Yeah, and then when you read the research, you find out, oh, wait a minute, no. The only thing it means is that your cells can be broken and that they can produce broken DNA, and that's really not a great thing.
A woman who I think has a real clue and a real idea about how deep altruism is in our species and why.
This is just, again, so silly. Altruism, again, is being able to identify with some other things suffering. Now, we have all the evidence in the world that we have no capacity to do that. All right, we see Americans burning and flying out of buildings, what do? We go catch other human beings on fire. That's what we do. We shock and fucking awe. Alright? We make them jump out of buildings on fire. This is just bullshit. There's no evidence of any of this crap. Alright? All there is evidence of is that some human beings get informed. They get educated. Gandhi was a very educated person. He wasn't he wasn't just natively as a human being empathetic and intelligent and wise. No, okay? He did that through education. He had extensive education. And he acquired the capacity to add 1 plus 1 equals 2. He was able to figure out that you can't win in this game by feeding on each other. Not a difficult concept, really should be very simple, but it is so. The power of the genetics, the power of the heritage is so dominating that even that simple truth has been obscured from human view. So, I mean, your argument is completely disproven by the practical fact of our circumstance. It is grotesquely obvious that none of this is an evolutionary component. If we're going to improve the world, we're going to do it because we're intelligent, not because we're human. The human, as a base animal, is a piece of fucking shit.
We aren't necessarily doing everything we do from the old view that we're all just a bunch of selfish cannibals trying to.
The old view that you don't refute with a single fucking piece of evidence. Just point to your little fucking books and your little happy pictures. Oh, look at that. Daddy loves his fucking son. Not human sons, not humanity's sons, his fucking son. And you call that altruism. I mean, you see how preposterous that is?
Get to the top. She's written a book called Mothers and Others, and it's a very well thought out book. There will be links to her book in the low bar, and about how complex it is for a species to take care of a child. And she has something.
Oh, well, gee, this is, we've seen our social evolution. We've seen the last, whatever, we have recorded history for a few thousand years, and then we have, archaeological evidence going back further. Yeah, we're social animals. All right, we live in a pride, okay? I mean, there's so many analogies to our circumstance. You could go with a hive, or you go with a pride, or you go with a school, or you go with a flock. But that's how we've been living for quite a while now. No big surprise. Yes, mother lions will lick the lion cubs of their sisters. They'll take care of their sisters' kids. Yeah, not a huge surprise.
Called cooperative child raising, and how we as a species are cooperative child raisers.
There's very little evidence in any archaeological record, any anthropological studies of there being any fanny packy metrosexual society where men are the little child carers and women are going out 9 to 5 to go catch the food. Where's the evidence of any of this crap? It's just that. It's crap. This is just crap.
Now, of birds, 9% are cooperative, and that means that that people in our species tend to share the duties of children.
Well, where's this sharing? Where's the evidence of it? I mean, we keep people living in squalor. We got kids being raised on the streets. We had work camps for kids just a few, 100 years ago. Because there was somebody else's kids. There were some other assholes' kids. We don't cooperate. And then even within our family structures, even the social networks, there's no cooperation. There's every kind of preference given. We have preposterous inheritance laws where we decide, oh, well, that kid's better than that kid. Why? Because he came out of the right vagina. I mean, where's your evidence of any of this fairness our integrity that we give to each other. We don't give anything to anybody until people demand it. The only way you get any respect in this fucking world is you got to kick somebody in the nuts to get it. I mean, come on. This is not our native capacity to give a shit about each other. The dominant configuration is, how can I manipulate this circumstance? How many dysfunctional families are there on planet Earth? Brother fucking brother. I mean, come on.
And what does that mean exactly? It means some very complex things. It means, according to Sarah Hardy, who is the author of the book, that we grew up in a very complex.
Jesus. According to Sarah Hardy, who is the author of the book, I mean, yeah, it's a very quick video, and you waste time, attributing a title to a author to the author to her title.
And demanding environment as a species, human beings. 3%.
Oh yeah, it's so much more demanding than those penguins on Antarctica, right? Are those whatever camels living on the desert? Or everything lives in a demanding environment.
Of mammals are cooperative in their child rearing, and that's very important because it means that we will.
Oh, it's just a distinction. It's just some some animals hop like kangaroos, and some animals swim like platypuses, and some animals fly like ducks. What the hell is this crap? It's very important. No, it's just a different way of accomplishing the task, which is survival to the environment you're attempting to succeed in.
We're developed as a species who don't depend on just one person to raise a child.
Well, look, you can go to a tribe of chimpanzees or gorillas, any of the great apes, except for maybe orangutans, okay, who aren't terribly social. But the other two are very social, okay? They do live in an extended family tribe or group, and they take care of each other and they play with each other and all that bullshit. But they have all kinds of social politics that doesn't have a goddamn thing to do with empathy, and pretty well does mimic exactly what human beings are doing on the big picture scale.
Depend on a lot of people cooperating to raise one child.
Oh, it takes a village to raise a child, kind of tripe. Um, it takes money, that's for sure.
To me, that could be productively used to say that we won't just allow children to be born willy-nilly, to be born into any kind of environment. We're going to only have children as a conscious thing, but the ones that we do have, we're going to realize need more than one person, more than just a single mother to raise them.
I don't even know where you're going with this stuff. Like I said, the evidence is that we've done exactly the opposite. People have kids because they're farmers and they want somebody to work their farm, or they want a social security policy because they want somebody to wipe their ass when they're dying. You see all kinds of unaltruistic behavior, even in those relationships where you think it would be possible for somebody to have that extended kind of to care enough to be able to see from the welfare of that individual. But there's still, even in those circumstances, the users dominate.
And that whether or not it's part of your kin group, maybe it makes sense for you to pitch in and help with other people's children a little bit. And I know, I mean, on YouTube, everything has to be about how to figure out the ruthless story of evolution. And it's
Oh, what is that? It's the truth of evolution. It is survival of the fittest, and it is basically with no civilized rules beyond what some understanding, information, logic will be able to confine it eventually, because now we possess that capacity, so we can understand, we can be informed, and it's that understanding and that information that has changed the human race, that has improved the human race. Any improvement that's taken place has not been genetic, has not been from some native capacity. It has been through unnatural behavior, not natural behavior, that we have become whatever civilization we have, we got it unnaturally. if you want to call logic and intelligence a non-native, non-genetic component. I mean, your knowledge is not genetically bestowed. You have to acquire it. Somebody has to give it to you. And we see that evolution from these crude, moralizing religions that had some purpose in terms of civilizing human beings, but they became dogma. They became static, stagnant nonsense.
It turns out that the story of evolution is not as ruthless in reality as its
Again, so here's this broad statement. So somehow this points to evolution. Somehow this is evidence of frailty in evolutionary theory, when it's just talk. It's just this is a tiny percentage, the dominant component of evolution. We see it. You can't unravel it with this. This is nothing. This isn't good enough.
painted. People want to say, oh, well, you must be wrong, and try to smack you down for just holding that view. Well, I'm sorry, but
Oh, that's just bullshit again. Smack you down just for holding the view? No, people make arguments defending the truth. They're entitled to do that.
I really don't think we have to be as dogmatic about.
Oh, again, dogmatic. So the other people being dogmatic, you're the one just pointing to titles and not making any argument, not defending anything with logic, just defending it with a book covers. And you're the one going to accuse other people of dogma. Fuck.
Evolution as we are, because I think it's expanding our view of evolution and our role and what we do.
No, like I said, the only thing expanding is our knowledge base, and it's through that knowledge base that we will acquire understanding. But that's all it is. It has nothing to do with the old biological evolution, and has everything to do with the new Dawkins evolution of memes, and attempting to make those good memes viral.
To facilitate each other and to help each other, not just to compete irrationally with each other. Anyway.
Yeah, well, whatever. Rationally from an ignorant perspective, okay? So when you don't have knowledge, what is rational can be very different. And when you have knowledge, then rational changes. And so, yes, from an ignorant perspective, it's rational to be self-motivated and to think your kids are better than everybody else's. Yeah. From an intelligence perspective, you understand there's no distinction between your kids and somebody else's kids, and you might as well die for one as you would for the other, logically.
Links in the low bar if you're all interested. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, whatever. Nice slander. Way to go. Yeah. So, yeah, that was just such crap. So, thank you very much. The end. Until next time. Blah, blah, blah. I hit the button. Oh, okay. This is such a waste of time. Yeah, you gotta go debunk a bunch of book titles now. Great. Fantastic.